Hi everyone, it's Kino here. Welcome to this practice that presents to you the best yoga poses for complete beginners. Get 2 yoga blocks, a yoga mat, and when you're ready to begin, let's get started in a comfortable seated position. And if you like this video, remember to leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel so that we can practice together every day. Close the eyes, hands come together, a long deep breath in. As you exhale, softly open the eyes, and you're in your first yoga pose, which is a comfortable seated position. So when we sit on the floor, we understand this to be the foundation of our meditation practice, and usually the start and the end of every yoga practice. So we're using an external rotation of the hip joints just to sit comfortably on the floor. When we're starting the practice, it's usually some tightness in the hips, the inner thighs, and the lower back that may elevate your knees a little bit. So if sitting on the floor is a little uncomfortable for you, then you want to start off sitting on a block. And if your knees are quite elevated, then the moment you sit on the block, this allows the knees to drop a little bit closer to the ground, and you can pivot a little bit forward in the pelvis. And so that's the first thing to know when you're beginning the practice, is to how to adapt the poses so that they can better work for where you are in regards to your body and in regards to your practice. Now that we understand that comfortable seated position, the beginning and the end of most every yoga practice, then let's come over onto the hands and knees. Now, the foundational yoga pose that everybody needs to really begin to understand how to work is downward facing dog. So I'm starting off in what's known as the tabletop position, which is hands shoulder width apart, knees hips width apart, and the back relatively flat. And this is called tabletop, honestly, just because you look like you're a table. And the back is supposed to be the top of the table, so we don't want any curves in the back when you're doing tabletop position. Then if you can transition from tabletop position to half downward dog, this will set you up quite well. So let's move the feet a little bit back and take the hands lightly forward, keeping the hands shoulder width apart. Then the downward facing dog will send your hips a little bit back and up, and the shoulders roll into external rotation. So see if you can take your upper arm bones and kind of move them away from each other, getting the shoulder blades down the back. And then as you exhale, drop the head down, but don't touch it down, and look lightly towards the knees. And so this is our half downward dog position. Let's see if you can stay here for a few breaths. The navel draws in, the mind is calm. Good. All right. Notice the places where you're feeling stretching. And then see if you can draw the navel a little bit more in, getting a little bit of feeling and sensation in the hips. All right, that's good. Now let's walk the hands a little bit back just so that you can push off. I'd like you to make contact with your pelvis. Sometimes it's helpful to give it a little wiggle. And we'll drop the head down, and then inhale, lift the hips a little bit up. You can walk the feet lightly in, and now we're in the downward facing dog. And so we can think about, again, the shoulders rolling open, the hips moving back and up, drawing the kneecaps lightly up, and we'll be here for 5 deep breaths. We have 1, 2, deep breathing is an essential component of your yoga practice. 3, if the legs do not straighten, you may want to bend the knees, but keep working the hips back and up, and then try to straighten the legs. 4, and 5. All right, we'll switch the gaze forward. And now we're going to work on warrior 1. So I want you to step your right foot forward. Sometimes when people step forward, their foot doesn't go far enough forward, so you can lean over to the left side and kind of guide the foot forward. Then, in the back hip, you'll externally rotate the hip joint. This will give you a firm foundation. Now you can come onto your fingertips, root down into the left foot, and then inhale will come up. All right, so we want to maintain a good balance. Make sure the feet are not too wide apart, like away from each other in the lateral plane, but in this axis, this long axis, they need to be relatively far apart, so the distance may be a little bit longer than one of your own legs. Then let's hold on to the hips. We're reaching the pelvis forward, but we shouldn't expect that the pelvis will be symmetrical. Sink the pelvis lightly down, and then feel the strength of the right quadriceps. Externally rotate the shoulders and inhale. Extend the arms above your head. All right. You can keep the hands stacked over the shoulders, or we can press the palms into each other looking up. We'll stay here for 5 breaths. So we have 1, 2, nice deep breathing. 3, that right leg is working, me too. 4, almost there. 5, let's straighten the right leg, drop the hands down. We're gonna pivot around to the other side. Then bend the left knee, take a moment, feel the hips. We're gonna orient the pelvis lightly forward, so that's gonna be over towards the left side. It won't be totally forward, but we're just going towards that direction, rooting down through the right hip and sinking into the strength of the left quadricep. Dangle your arms by your side, externally rotate the shoulders, and inhale, reach straight up. Stacking the hands over the shoulders. If it feels comfortable for you, lift the center of the chest up and press the palms. If not, we can gaze forward. We'll stay here for 5 breaths. We have 1, 2, deep, steady breathing. That is actually the key component of the yoga practice. 3, 4, we're almost there. 5, let's drop the hands down, straighten the left leg, pivot all the way back forward to the front. Inhale, bring your feet together. Now we are in Samastitihi. This is equal standing at the front of the mat, a neutral resting point that really creates a beginning foundation to every practice. All right. Now let's inhale, extend the arms, a big breath in. Exhale, fold forward, pivoting at the hip joints. Go down. Inhale, lift the center of the chest up, a deep breath in. Now we're going to step back to plank pose, so let's step back plank. Plank is one of those foundational poses of strength, so it's really important we know how to work plank. Moving the shoulders away from the ears and the shoulder blades away from each other broadens and widens the upper back, creating a solid foundation for the pose. Then, activating the muscles of the lower abdomen. Keep it nice and firm from the legs. Hold for 3 more breaths. Good. And we're just 2 more breaths. 1 more breath. All right, now we're going to sink the knees down. Chaturanga Dandasana is like half of a push-up, so we only have to basically do the push down. Draw the shoulders back, and then exhale, chest forward and down. Good. We can always lie all the way on the ground, and then maintain the shape of the push down, or half the push-up position. Now let's work upward facing dog. Roll the shoulder blades down the back. Inhale, lift the center of the chest up. We're in upward facing dog. Soften your glute muscles. Stay there for a moment. Nice. Sink the knees down, and then we'll come back to tabletop position. Upward facing dog can be challenging sometimes, so let's do that using the yoga blocks. This will give your lower back just a little bit more space and make it possible for you to find the back bend. If you haven't found your back bend in upward facing dog, try this, it might help. Inhale, we'll come forward to plank. Good. Then roll the shoulders forward, roll over the toes, drop the pelvis, then lift the back muscles and lift the ribs away from the hips. Good. All right, we're just going to gaze forward, maybe look at the nose tip and keep the shoulders really strongly activated. And we'll stay here for 2, 3, 4, almost there. 5. Now I want you to roll over your toes, send the hips back and up, step off of the blocks, and we are in downward facing dog. Good job. Switch the gaze forward. Come back up onto the blocks. Cross your shin bones over each other. Exhale, sit down. Let's move the blocks over to the side. Good. Extend the legs forward. Now we're going to work Paschimottanasana, which is a forward fold. So the first thing to do is place the hands on the ground and wiggle your sitting bones out from underneath the flesh of the glutes. Then, as the navel draws in, think about the epicenter of the forward fold happening inside the pelvis. So you can pull your thigh bones back and pivot forward. Reach forward, we can hold onto the ankles, you can take the hands on the ground, or you can hold onto your big toes. You're welcome to use a strap as well. Inhale, prepare, a big breath in. And then exhale, pivot forward. So if you feel like you can't move, don't worry, it comes with years of practice. My first forward fold looks like this, and then after years of practice, little more pivot, little more pivot, little more pivot, little more pivot, until the spine learns to release. So find out what works for you for today, and we'll stay here for 5 breaths. You can look at the toes, And we can be up here just holding onto the ankles, or we can keep folding, folding, folding by drawing in from the front and releasing from the back and keeping the toes really activated, the legs activated. This helps release the hamstrings, which are antagonistic muscles to the quadriceps. How about 3 more breaths? You can do it. Don't force it. So soft shoulders, soft gaze, deep breathing. Nice. Any grip position works. That's comfortable for you. Good. 2 more breaths. 1 more breath. Very good. Inhale, we'll lift the center of the chest and exhale here. All right, we're going to bend the knees into the chest. Give yourself a little squeeze in as a nice counter stretch here. And I want us to lie down. So we're going to turn around and then exhale. You're going to roll your spine down. I'm just going to get situated here comfortably. All right, so let's roll the spine lightly down. Good. Okay. Now, I'd like you to draw both knees into your chest. So you just give a little squeeze in. Very good. Now we'll move into reclining twist, holding the left knee into the chest. Extend the right leg. That's good. Now, as you exhale, cross over the center line of the body. And then we can rest the left knee either on the ground or you can rest it on the blocks. And then inhale, lift the left arm and exhale. A nice reclining twist. This is a really important posture to help get comfortable, kind of resting on the floor and understanding the dynamics of how just to relax into the posture. We'll hold this for about 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, we'll bring it back into the center and draw both knees again into the chest. Then extend the left leg. Good, stay there for a moment. And then exhale, let's cross over the center line of the body. Inhale, lift your right arm up and exhale. Release your right arm. Good. All right. See if you can find the release. The back muscles release. The mind releases. And everything comes to a point of rest. Maybe just 2 more breaths here. Enjoy the moment, enjoy the feeling. Very good. 1 more breath. Inhale, we'll come back to the center. And now, I'd like you to separate the feet, bend both knees, get the sacrum kind of nicely planted on the ground. And then extend the arms, straighten out the legs, and we'll move into our take rest position. Lying on the back with the hips released, the shoulders released, and the face released. You might know this pose as Shavasana, sometimes translated into English as corpse pose, so that everything just releases. My teacher always just called this take rest. So sometimes just an easy pose, Sukhasana. Make sure you find ease and comfort here, a sense of deep peace. Now we'll begin to reawaken the body, so start to move the fingers and toes, the hands and feet. Find a little stretch that reawakens the body lovingly. And then let's bend both knees up into the chest. Give yourself a little squeeze. As you exhale, we'll roll over onto the side. And then inhale all the way back up. Find a comfortable seated position. Close the eyes. Let's bring the hands in prayer position. A long, deep breath in. As you exhale, softly open the eyes. Thank you so much for joining me on this practice. May you be happy, may you be peaceful, may you be filled with love.